Welcome to the best show on the planet. This is Back to Basics, a comic book podcast where we're going to stay true to the culture of comic books and beyond. We strive to be different and want to bring flavor to the medium by giving you insights on the history of what you need to know. We're going to be highlighting obscure things that you're like, what? Did I need to know that? Yes, you did need to know that. And we're going to talk about some amazing books that also may not be on your purview. We're going to be interviewing some amazing people, new up-and-comers, and ultimately having you, the audience, be a part of the conversation. So this diverse group of hosts that we have gathered with us today, this group here is dedicating every episode to the very passions that brought us together and continue to push us to give our audience a new and refreshing perspectives. What we love about this group is that we're diverse in many ways in our identities. So we're going to lean in on that. We want you to lean on it. We just want you to think critically about not just the comic book and the background of a comic book, but how it actually connects to our real world situations. So we're going to be doing some of that stuff, which is a lot different than what you see anywhere else. So it is the power and responsibility that Stan Lee spoke of that makes us who we are and why we join together as a super team. My name is Gen X, and I am a Puerto Rock extraordinaire. I am from Brooklyn, New York, and currently reside in Baltimore, Maryland. So I'm excited to be part of this team. We've been doing this for a minute, and now we're looking to break out. So we are good and ready to go. Hopefully we're priming you for the best that we have. And I'm going to send it off to my sister, Miss Ebony Keys.
What's going on, everybody? This is Miss Ebony Keys, here to captivate your minds and educate along the way from Florida. And yeah, so glad to have met these two people right here. Thank you for stopping by.
And this your boy Tempos. Y'all know me. Y'all know who it is. Bringing comics and culture to your ear. Let's go. Another Brooklyn boy, might I add.
So we representing the East Coast up and down. So y'all, we are excited because although Wakanda Forever has been, a week out, I know people have probably seen it. They haven't seen this episode. So we're going to go a little bit deeper. And just to kind of give you a snapshot, what we hope today's episode will provide you with some way of actually connecting with the movie and actually the franchise a little bit deeper. So we hope that you've had a chance to watch the new installment of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. If you haven't, then as my friend Tempo said, that's your loss. But we're going to try and help you at least where if you haven't seen it and you still are logged in and locked in, want to make sure that we're giving you at least some context so that you can jump on into the movie. Then basically, what I want you to do is we will be discussing our viewpoints on the movie, but not in great detail. We're going to let you kind of get your own perspective and join us on our platforms like YouTube and eventually our podcast that's going to be hosted on everywhere that you get podcasts. It's crazy. So this episode will be made minor. We'll focus on a little of the minor things to watch for. And as far as spoilers are concerned, we'll try and keep it as a minimum, but we cannot guarantee you because we're so excited about the content. So the focus of the day is to go deep with the Black Panther universe and give you some dope content and possible characters who you've never heard of before. So that'll be the second half of our podcast. We're going to feature already in the movies some characters, but also some comic book lore that you never heard of. So we're looking forward to giving you what you need. The team has watched the Black Panther movies. I don't even know how many times, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think I have my Wakanda citizenship at this point. So, it is what it is. We hope today's episode will give you more time to think about investing into the reading in particular of the comic book runs that we'll be talking about. Maybe connect with the characters like they were before. And some of the characters we'll introduce, you may have not had even an inkling about their background. So we're looking forward to that. And we would love to hear from you again about your favorite characters in the Black Pantherverse, the universe. So go to our YouTube page, the Back to Basics, a comic book podcast. Make sure you comment on the video. We'll be posting pretty much the whole podcast. And we want you to chime in on the characters that you want to talk about. And also let us know which ones we missed out on that we should really highlight. And then make sure you get your Wakanda salute on if you want to. So that'll be off and popping. So we're going to jump first off. We're going to show you a the what I would call the thing that made us all geek out at the front end. So it actually we actually watched this trailer so many times. I don't know how many times I've seen it, but you know, it's all good. It's all clickable. It's all great. It's all gravy. So we're just gonna play it. We want to remind you about the connections that we made, and so then we're gonna dive deep into some of the segments of the movie, and hopefully you all can join us in the chat. Okay, so here we go.
Only the most broken people can be great leaders.
His people did not call him general or king. They called him Kukulkan, the feather serpent god. Killing him will risk eternal war.
He's coming for the surface world.
We know what you whisper. They have lost their protector. Now is our time to strike. Show them who we are.
Oh my goodness gracious! I got goosebumps all over, top, bottom, left, right. I have goosebumps and muscles that I didn't even know I had. So I worked out for the week. All right, so we wanted to kind of give you what I would call a recall, so that way, in case you didn't see it, hopefully you did see it for the first time. Hopefully you didn't, and you still got connected to it. So we wanted to kind of segment it and kind of talk about certain pieces that we think are really monumentous throughout the whole time. So let's talk about that funeral scene. Anybody want to start up on that? Because I'm about to cry.
Listen, when we went to the movie theater and I sat down and the way it started, they put so much respect. Not one person was saying anything. I didn't hear no clapping in the beginning or after that funeral scene. It was beautiful. I ain't gonna lie, I teared up, and I was trying hard because I was with my boys, and I'm like, don't look at me right now, you know what I'm saying? But it was a beautiful part.
Real man cry.
I mean, yeah, you know, it was a good tear. It was raining in the movie theater, you know. Sun came down, you know.
Yeah, it's the air conditioning, right?
Yeah, you know how it goes.
Yeah,
over something. But yeah, definitely a beautiful, beautiful beginning.
It's key.
Well, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I cried like a little 5-year-old baby that just got lost her candy and her favorite toy. But it just, all the emotions and everything that was put in the beginning, it was deep. It was deep, and not only was it like we're losing the Black Panther, but losing Chadwick in a way, and you know. It was heartbreaking. You know, I was, you know, why would you start a movie like that? Why? But yeah, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah, but you know, I think we talked about this before. It made you think about how connected we were to Chadwick Boseman in this character, right? So,
Right.
you know, and his presence is still felt even after this whole movie is over, even Wakanda Forever. So there's, you know, for those who haven't seen the whole thing, you know, there's an ending for sure, and we're going to spoil it today and talk about it. But for the most part, you know, it's probably the first time that I've ever, besides, you know, Wesley Snipes and being Blade, you know, obviously he's still alive, which is great, but, you know, to lose Chadwick in this monumentous, you know, this epic role, it was so important to people, especially African diaspora folks, right? To be like, wow, we got our own movie. It's successful, right? As most people were saying, it wasn't going to, you know, make a lot of money. But now we have our own hero, and one of the first Black heroes to really show up in the way that he did, and that we have something that we can actually point to even for our children and our children's children, right? So, you know, I think for me, Chadwick not being there actually was, I think that's what people were feeling, you know, that loss. And we never got to go to his funeral, but he's always going to be our Black Panther. And I think that is probably a great monument to him as an actor. Because before Black Panther, I think he had lots of, you know, successes, but you know, he was, you know, even in Black Panther, the original one, he was going through it, right? And he still showed up to work every day, and he was a hero even in that vein. He was still Black Panther. He was literally the personification of Black Panther. So
it's crazy that he was sick that whole time, and he did that. Like, I can't even imagine what was going through his head and his family head. Like, I feel so sorry, you know, but I'm so glad that he did it, because now we get to have that forever and for our generation and the next generation. So I appreciate him, man. It was a beautiful. What he did was just beautiful. Like, he is the Black Panther, and the way they portrayed him and they showed him throughout the whole movie, he had more parts in that whole movie than a lot of characters that was featured. As much time they showed him. Like, it was beautiful. It was a lot of respect, and I love it. I love the way they did it.
It was definitely representative of what we all wanted to physically be there. If we could give him a farewell. All right, not to switch gears, but I'm about to drop some Spanish on y'all. We want to talk about El Niño Sin Amor. And El Niño Sin Amor is, what's the translation, Tempos?
The Child Without Love.
That's right. The Child Without Love, and that's who was introduced as the anti-hero villain. I guess he's more an anti-hero than anybody. But all right, I'm just gonna, Miss Ebony Keys, what you want? I mean, there was a lot of controversy about Namor. I'm gonna say Namor because I'm Latino myself, but everybody knows him as Namor.
Namor.
Yeah. You could call him Namor. It's fine.
Namor.
Yeah. Okay. All right. More power to it.
Let me get a little Espanol a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, but even though I've never read any of the series, or I really haven't followed it, that he really played that part. That part was amazing. It was, I can see from how he felt with his, like, the background of how he came to be what he was, and how he felt, just like the pain and the suffering that he went to growing up, and what he was trying to do for his people and everything like that, and keeping them safe. But that part, it was amazing. He played the part. That's what I'll say.
Oh yeah, he definitely played the part. Now, the good thing about how they did it is, you know how Marvel does it when it comes to comic books and movies. They change a lot up. Now, Namor was definitely different in the movie compared to the comics. Not too much different, not controversy different. It was like right there, everything makes perfect sense, and it's going to make better sense because he's coming back. Well, oops, I spoiled you something. But regardless.
It's okay.
Regardless, Namor was a dope character. I loved everything they did with him. The way he looked, the aspect, everything. Even from him as a child, was like spot on, man. Like it was beautiful. And those water scenes, underwater scenes, man.
Yes.
I mean, I'm
Yes.
sorry, DC, but man, you're gonna have to come back with something for that one, because that water scene, it was beautiful. It was meant to be what it was, and it was beauty. The whole thing, from the children, the mermaids. I mean, everything that was in there. It was like how they did that. Like, I wonder if they took a whole camera, went far deep, and just started recording that whole scene underwater for real, because it was like perfect. It was like, man, there's really an underwater world. Look at them.
Right.
I feel like,
Right.
it was dark too, and I love the scene where he said, the vibranium, and he said, "I brought the sun to my people." Right,
Yeah.
like that was amazing to me, and he literally harnessed the sun underwater. And
He's a true king.
yeah, he was a true king. He still is. I'm looking forward to him. Also, the controversies. I'm gonna put this out here. So people were upset the fact that it didn't follow canon, and it also, people were upset because he was mestizo, indigenous from Mexico and kind of the Mayan, mythos around there. What are your thoughts around that? And the way people kind of reacted to it, was a plus minus, and how do you think it was portrayed? Do you think it was portrayed well in the movie?
Like I said, movies and comics, it has to be different. Not everything is going to co-align. I mean, look at Civil War. If we're going to go right to specifics, if you were mad about something, we should talk about Civil War. But you know what? Civil War came out great. The fight scenes were great, and it was epic moments. Namor, the way they did him, he had to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Let's give our due diligence and respect. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, he's a king. He portrayed himself as a king. We should be looking at what's more important and how he treated his people. He was loved by all his people. Like, those were his children. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them are even older than him, but those are still, like, they look at him. And I don't know. I could keep going on with how they did Namor, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure why people are mad about it, because what's going on? Like, what do you have to do with it? That what's so important in the comics? And believe me, I have a list. I know a lot about Namor. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, why can't we just change a little bit so it can make sense for the movie? And especially everything that's coming forward in the movies. Because remember, he's not done. He has a lot of lore. We have a lot of lore that's going to be with our canon for, Namor.
Tempo said it.
He was passionate.
He was passionate. That was spot on. Like, seriously, it was.
Yeah, I give props to Ryan Coogler for really doing a lot of his homework. I wouldn't say he did it 100%, and I'm sure some people would be upset with certain aspects of it, but I think he did an interesting job. I actually was talking. What was it? I was on a stream somewhere, and someone said, "How dare they, change it for diversity's sake?" This whole, canon of Namor. And I remember saying to myself, who the hell has been to Atlantis? Because I don't think anybody's ever found it. And it could be. What if it is, And it just goes back to, for me, it goes back to kind of like this framing and reframing of history. And a lot of the stuff that we think is canon and history, sometimes we actually unveil and figure out, oh, shoot, we were wrong, right? And so, this could be part of our new Namor canon, right? Like,
I'm saying.
I'm looking forward to hopefully they retcon it.
I mean, if you think about it, it really was canon. I mean, canon to its own lore because it's brand new, right? Now, think about this. When you see mermaids, the beginning of the movie where, the ship and everybody was jumping over ship. Yeah, I'm spoiling. I don't care. But when everybody was jumping ship, now, remember, they were singing. In lore, mermaids, they sing and they hypnotize to catch their prey. And they're not really, mermaids. They're, whatever they are. But at the end of the day, that's folklore. They was going with true folklore, And then Namor, they was actually going with facts and lore on the comics, because at the end of the day, he was a sculptor before anything else also. And look what he was doing throughout that whole wall, sculpting. He was writing history of what had been happened and what's happening and what's going to happen. That's lore, you know what I'm saying? Like, People should just really sit back and just look at the beauty instead of, you know, trying to figure out what they hate about it.
I loved how M'Baku said his name, but Kukulkan. I was like, bro, I need to change my name to Kukulkan.
M'Baku was, man, he was so good in that movie.
He
too.
was good.
Right.
I'm happy he got I'm happy about his role. It was a really cool leadership role that we hadn't seen in the first one. Now I'm going to also talk about this because I thought this was interesting. Since we're talking about Namor, why don't we talk about the introduction to the mutant world? What do y'all think about that? I'm so excited. When he said I'm a mutant, I said, Lord have mercy.
He is the first one to say that he was a mutant in Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, he did say a hybrid. He's a mutant hybrid. So because he said it that way, it can be misinterpreted. It could be anybody could take it at face value. But we're comic heads, so you already know what we're thinking. Oh, you a mutant? What you trying to say? Mm-hmm. Who's next? Where's Wolverine? Come on, let's go. Let's bring him out. Come on, phase 8. Let's go.
Oh Lord.
He got us already at phase 15. We still at 4.
Right.
We still at 4. Let's take it easy now.
We was in phase 6.
We at 4 right now.
Phase 4? Oh man, I'm thinking future already.
Yeah, Ms. Keys, are you excited about the X-Men and Namor being a part of this whole conversation?
I am now because Tempo just hyped it up already. Like, come on, when is it gonna come out, Tempos?
They need. Hey, listen, I'm about to hit them up. They need to do this right now. I need to see Wolverine in his original outfit. You know what I'm saying? I really, man, let's not even go there because we could keep talking about something else when it comes to these mutants. But let's bring it back to basics again. The fact that he's a mutant and he said it just opened its own multiverse right there. Anything could happen right now.
Yeah.
We just gotta wait. That's the crazy part is we gotta wait. But when it comes, man, I'm gonna be geeked. It's
exciting news, especially with the shows coming up as well. That's just gonna be a whole new cadre of things that we can actually jump into.
Right.
So mutants, we ready. I think I'm a mutant, to be honest with you. I didn't want to tell y'all, but I think I am. I may be, I'm Puerto Rican too, so I might be a hybrid mutant. Maybe that's what's going on.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Hey, listen, I believe I'm a mutant. I got the mighty tingle and all that shit.
So
have some kind of mutation.
How interesting was it that we actually had these two civilizations that were, primarily people of color, right? And they're the only ones with vibranium that basically have harnessed vibranium, have owned vibranium. And then we still have this like juxtaposition and connection to like the colonialism piece, right? That it was a word play situation in the first Black Panther with the colonizer piece, but it was really interesting that it really manifests in this one, particularly when they were talking about the vibranium being a resource that everybody wanted, in particular the West wanted. And just the way Namor put it was basically, we know the history and we know what they're capable of doing. What are your thoughts around that and like how we probably should be interpreting this movie a little bit differently?
I'm gonna be honest when it comes to the vibranium, because man, come on, they've been fighting about this vibranium since way back the Captain Shield. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, we don't necessarily know where all the vibranium dropped because it was brand new to them, and they even said in the movie this changes history compared to where all the stories and lore that we were taught when we were little in Wakanda compared to what we know and now, that vibranium is all it was in the ocean, Atlantis, and all this stuff. So we don't know where a lot of more pieces dropped and who else has them. That could be coming later on in the movies that I'm of course geeked for. But at the end of the day, I think we didn't see the full capability of what Atlantis had for vibranium. Because remember, she said he was dripped up in vibranium when he came out the water. And did he come out dry that first time? I swear he came out dry.
He did.
Well,
He did.
I mean, I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, well, he's flying. So if I had wings on my ankles too, I kind of would be dry pretty quick by flying around.
I mean, he came out the water, and I swear he was dry. His hair was combed perfectly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, come on, bro. You just showing out now for the queen.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
ain't
know
that
what's
how he got his powers from, right? From the water and from
the vibranium.
yeah.
Well, was
Wasn't
it?
it the vibranium?
No,
No,
it was
no.
The flowers.
the flowers. Yeah, the heart shaped
flowers.
But
flowers.
didn't the flower grow on top of the vibranium? Was that it?
You know, you got me now. You got me having to go see the movie again
So
for
I
the
gotta see
third
the
time.
movie. You know
Okay,
what? I think we
see?
should need to go see the movie again for that little part because you
Yeah.
know respect.
I'll go. I'll go.
I needed to be the number
Somehow.
one movie forever. No, I think I thought it was interesting because it propped up the conversation around like historically how, you know, we look at even like indigenous communities and just countries and, you know, this whole idea of like basically colonization. And it just, to me, when I was sitting there as an educator, I was sitting there going, wow, they actually brought it to the forefront in a different way. But then they were also talking about how, because they're powerful, they can do whatever they want. But the difference is, and this is where people were, you know, obviously the Wakandans were in, you know, in difference with the Atlanteans was one wanted to open up and did open up their borders to actually, you know, to the Western world and to the world at large. Whereas the Atlanteans were like, hell no, we know exactly what you would do if you had your hands on this vibranium. And
Right.
so I thought that was phenomenal because it goes back even to conversations around Killmonger in the first one and also how Black Panther saw the new world and how they wanted to kind of show themselves in a different way, right? So there's still a conversation around race, ethnicity, class, and colonization, which is really interesting. Not to get too deep, y'all. I know it's comic books, but I just want to make sure we make those connections because they're important and
Right.
they weren't just put there for fun, right? So
I mean, they showed it. You saw what happened with Namor, his family, when he wanted to bury his mom on the surface. Like automatically, they wanted to save him. You know, to put him down, bring him down, chain him up, and put him as a slave. But you know, but of course, we got Namor as a child, whooping on all of them. I love that part because, you know, as a Latino, you know what I'm saying, it goes way back how a lot of people was treated back in the day, you know what I'm saying, for a little piece of land. I thank God that we're not there no more, you know what I'm saying, but we still have a lot of work to do, you know. We still got a lot of work to do.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I saw a little boy flying in the air, I might have to be trying to.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "You coming for me? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to take you down somehow." And blue people showing up on the shore, I'd be like, "Yeah."
Should I take back everything I said? Because I know y'all made a good point. Now I would have probably been like, "Oh, what?" No, I'm stop.
No, you wouldn't have done that.
No, I wouldn't have done that.
No. All right, so let's pivot and talk about the new Black Panther, King of Wakanda, possibly. I think he is. Not to spoil it, but it's M'Baku, y'all. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. I done destroyed your life. And the new Panther, if you didn't see that the new Panther is a woman and it's Shuri, you need better glasses. So, but the big part is, right, Tempos, Miss Keys, that when Shuri was deciding on what suit she was going to wear, she ended up, there's a lot going on in that scene with her rage and she's upset, obviously, with the passing of many of her kinfolk. But now you see her pick the suit of Killmonger. So, and also having met him in kind of when she becomes the new Black Panther. So that was heavy. That was a
dope scene. I got chills when I seen Killmonger. I mean, let's put it this way: when she took the serum, the potion or whatever you want to call it, the drink, and they didn't bury her. I'm spoiling everything. She just went to that phase. She went into the plane, and when everything, the way it looked, fiery, and then she walked around the chair, and it was Killmonger. Oh my God! And then he looked it dripped out. He was like, I've been waiting for this. You know what I'm saying? Her sole person that she's seen was Killmonger. That just shows how much rage she had, you know, how much hate, how much vengeance she wanted to go. Man, it was a dope part. Killmonger was dope scene. And then the black and gold, you're right. The fact that she had that black and gold outfit, I was tripping on that one too. I was like, let's go. Get them all.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that part was surprising, even though it's like Tempos was saying, even though I saw it myself, she was holding on to so much anger, and even from the very beginning, because she just didn't want to let go of she just didn't want to let go of somebody that she has loved and was so close to her whole life, and she wanted to see something different, but ending up seeing the one person that was fueled by the same vengeance and rage was Killmonger. So that was an awesome part. That it took me by surprise. Yeah, it took me by surprise.
What he said, what little cousin?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, whoa, little cousin.
That was powerful.
Yeah,
it was.
I also thought it was interesting, even as she was kind of, I guess, not to give this away as well, but as she was in battle with Namor, right? Like, she was going back in her rage to find that solitude, and then her mother showing up, right? That was powerful, because she finally showed up. That's who she was looking for, right? But she just couldn't see right. She couldn't see straight, and yeah, she needed Killmonger and that whole piece to get her over the, because he said it. Killmonger said, your brother was a great king, but he was too noble, right? And so I'm the one king that could make things happen and do it, and no one else could. And even the previous kings, they weren't that great because they couldn't do what was needed to be done. And I thought it was interesting that she continued in that vein. Like, that was really dope. Like, she chose, and then she decided to become herself, because
after a while
Yeah,
she
had to.
Yeah.
Her mom showing up helped.
But you know what though? The part that I was real chilled about also was when she came down all epically with the black and gold outfit, and then she did the little hand, you know what I'm saying? The you know what I'm saying, with M'Baku, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then M'Baku was like, "Oh, you go, okay, you the one."
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, look how he looked when she said, "Nah, I want vengeance. I'm burning everything." He was like, "Whoa, like, this is not Shuri. Like, who is this right now? You sound familiar." You know what I'm saying? And he even said it, like, y'all took the back of Killmonger when he came and took the crown. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. That was a powerful scene. And M'Baku was like, "Whoa, and he's a beast." You know what I'm saying? He's not scared of nothing. The way he looked at her, it was like, "Yo, if we do this, we're going to war." You know what I'm saying? And you're ready to go to war. Yeah, she was not backing down from her. She was a queen. Mm-hmm. She was a queen in her own right, and she wanted vengeance for what they took from her. And they took a lot from her, man. I feel so sorry for her in that movie.
I think I saw somebody said about Angela Bassett needs to, she played that role. I mean, she had me, I was like, "Can I hug you?"
Okay.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Because when she said, haven't I given enough? Haven't I lost the most? Hasn't she lost the most? I mean, that was deep. And, everybody else has been, they also sacrificed. But when you think about it in retrospect, when you think about her, she's the one that lost the most. And and now Shuri's in that position. So that's crazy. That was nuts.
Right.
So Tempos, you or Miss Keys, whoever wants to tackle this, because I can't. I just can't. That end scene, that mid-credit end scene was a lot for me to handle. And so I don't know. Well, what are your thoughts around that? What's the future in that? And also, we ain't talk about Riri either. So I'm just going to open it up and leave it out there, because this is too much for me.
But the next Black Panther is going to be his son, you know, T'Challa, his same name, T'Challa. You know how much lore they could stick with? You know how much they did it so perfect with that ending. It pretty much like solidified the Black Panther from here on. Because even if they do like a Young Avengers, like they did in the cartoons and stuff like that, that's him. Even though, his mom in the comic book was a Storm. Let's not go deep into the lore. But at the end of the day, they could use that small character named T'Challa, become Black Panther for whatever happens or whatever reason, or a bad situation that he had to become Black Panther, a young Black Panther. I just can't wait. I can't wait for the future.
Right.
So, Ms. Keys, what's your take on this?
The ending part really hit hard for me is because with Shuri, throughout the whole movie, she lost so much throughout the whole movie. She lost her brother, she lost her mom. And then at the very ending, it's like she finally gets some sense of closure because now she has this little piece of her brother still there to, that she can hold on to.
That legacy is still there. She gets to keep it because she
It's
lost everybody,
still
right?
there. Everybody.
I mean, she gets to train the next Black Panther. That's another geek part.
Yeah, so the movie, we just told you the whole movie, so you may not need to go see it. I mean, to be honest with you, we told you all the good parts. But the beauty of it is that you should support the movie. It is a great, great piece of history, and y'all should definitely support it. Not just one time, but 2 times, 3 times. Let's make it the #1 movie of all time, which is great. But no, absolutely. I would say it's not the perfect movie. I still like the first Black Panther. And maybe I'm being nostalgic. Maybe I'm being a little hard. But before the mid-credit scenes, I had it at 8.5 out of 10. And then once I saw the mid-credit scenes, I ended up at a 9. So I give it a 9 out of 10 for sure. What about y'all?
Hey, I'm being biased. It's going to be a 10 all the way. That movie was so good. You know why? Because everything that's been coming out so far with Marvel, I mean, we had She-Hulk. Let's not even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And the other shows. At the end of the day, we had Multiverse with Doctor Strange. We had the Spider-Man movie. Great movies. I love those movies. But this movie was different. It hit different. It came at me different. It just hit everything that I wanted to see. I mean, not that Thor, Love and Thunder, let's make fun of everything type of feels. Like this movie was, I'm going to hit you at your heart, and I'm going to punch it every minute of this movie. And that's what they did. That movie was great.
Right. Well, I'll give it a 10 too.
Okay.
It's something I really need to see. Haven't seen anything like it in a long, long time.
Right.
So it seems like this movie is a 9.75 out of 10. So, all right, y'all. So while we have time, I think we're going to pivot to the next piece of our puzzle for today. We decided that we would provide you with some history and some of the key, maybe some of the folks that you saw in the movies and some people that aren't necessarily in the movies. We want you to do your own homework. To be honest with you, this is what Back to Basics is about. We do our due diligence to make sure that whatever we bring to you, we want to make sure that we've done our research and our homework. And so I think we've collected a few folks, and in our remaining time, we're going to give you some background story on some of these amazing, amazing characters. Some of them are major characters. Some of them aren't. And then we hope that you dive deep into the Wakandan universe, because I think that it also speaks to the newfound dedication of Marvel to really infuse and even bring back some of the amazing characters that have been lost, but that we're hopefully going to be seeing in the future as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what Black Panther 3 looks like, or even whatever that crossover looks like. Namor said that there was a truce between him and Wakanda, and I'm a little suspicious. I'm sure people are going to come for that, vibranium once again. And and then we did see some crazy stuff around Thunderbolts in there as well. So there's a lot going on in that movie that was kind of precursors. But today we're going to give you a background story, a history and education, because that's what Miss Keys would always want. If you've never been to her shows, Miss Keys has literally like the whole biography in the back of each of her comic books that she sells. So us as personalities should be rattling down. And no, that's what she does. She's a historian, and she makes sure that you know everything about it. So that's what we're going to do as well. We're going to tap into what would Miss Keys do? That's what we're going to do today. So, but matter of fact, since we're starting with Miss Keys, maybe who you wanted to highlight today as a part of the education process of the Back to Basics podcast community.
I basically wanted to touch little bases with Riri, because even though she really didn't have like a real small part in the film, but this is like really somebody brand new, especially on the big screen because we haven't seen her in a movie yet. So a lot of us do know her from Invincible Iron Man #7. We all know her as that quirky with a stubborn attitude MIT student. I believe in the comics, Tony Stark had his eyes on her when he was in the coma. That's when she really took over and got the name Ironheart. I believe all of us as Marvel fans got to experience firsthand what she was capable of doing, especially in this movie.
Was she represented pretty similar to the movie in the comic books? Is it the same parallels or is it different?
No, I feel like it was better in the movie than in the comic books. Her character in the movie was a lot better than in the books.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So, but it kind of makes you wonder, and leaving us to question what is next and what's looming in our minds. Because I feel like they're gonna do something with her in the near future. I liked her character in the movie. That was just my thoughts.
Awesome.
Young Avengers, I'm telling you, it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you're the man with the plan over there,
He got a crystal ball somewhere. I don't know.
Hey, listen, when they come
he does. He's got it over there.
How'd you know? Hey, listen, so what I do.
You're like Miss Cleo. For those who know who Miss Cleo is, call me now for your free reading. He's ready.
Call me now.
Call me now.
Miss Cleo.
She made a lot of money.
She sure did.
Yes.
A lot of money.
Rest in peace, Miss Cleo.
Right.
Tempos, what about you? Who are you highlighting? What groups are you highlighting today?
So for me, Namor. I mean, just because we did talk about him, and I was holding back when we were talking about him because this man had adventures. I mean, we know how straightforward he is, and we're talking about Namor Earth 616, just to get it straight. You know what I'm saying? One, King Namor, right? Submariner, ruler of Atlantis, born as a mutant hybrid, son of a human father, right? And his mom was a princess of Atlantis. Now, check this out. Did y'all know he fought in World War II with Captain America? Wow.
Yeah.
I was tripping on that part. Not only that, a lot of stuff that about him is he has not a lot of romantic crushes. One he had with Susan Storm. I think we all know this. He had like the biggest crush on Susan Storm for the longest time. It didn't work out. We all know why. But then he tried, and then he almost had a relationship with Scarlet Witch. But he had to pause that because her beauty kind of resonated with Susan Storm, and he didn't want to get hurt again. Well, rejection. You know how some men do. So he didn't pursue that. But then he had a freaking relationship with Emma Frost. How? Like, imagine that, him and Emma Frost, right? Those are two powerful mutants. Now, on top of this, he teamed up with a lot of people. Check this out. Did y'all know he teamed up with Dr. Doom to fight the Fantastic Four at one time?
No, that's
crazy,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
This old school stuff. Now, on top of that, he even teamed up with the Hulk to fight the Avengers. Now, at the time when he fought the Avengers, the Hulk just up and left and left them there. So him swimming back, guess who he ran into? Captain America and thawed ice, right? He was the one in the comics who found Captain America in stasis in ice. He threw it in anger because that was his best friend back in the day, and it was thawing out, and the Avengers found him. So he's actually the one who brought Captain America, back to life and back, to everybody's heart. That's another crazy part. Now, on top of what we talked about earlier, he was a sculptor. That's one thing I love about that. That as much power he has, as much strength he has, he's able to make beautiful art on the wall, like Mayans, on the wall. That was beautiful, even jewelry. Now, one thing, I think to me, the best comic that I read with Namor was Civil War, because his cousin actually died in the bombing with Nitro, and he wanted revenge, even though we all know who got Nitro in the end. I'm gonna spoil it. Wolverine, he got him. Wolverine got that, But in the end of the day, with the powers he has, check this out. This is the best part. He's actually the second superhero to be featured with flight. The first was Human Torch. Ain't that crazy? The second person in comic book history to have flight in a comic book.
Yeah.
I love that. I give mad respect to Namor. He been through a lot.
One of the you talked about Human Torch. The first Human Torch was Toro, who used to hang with Submariner, and they actually used to fight in World War II together. Yeah. And people don't get that. Like, that's how old Namor has been a part of the Marvel comics. He was actually a part of that whole World War II movement, which is really cool. And then Toro was a robot that became eventually the precursor to Human Torch, which is even more crazy. That and then even the Captain America part, I didn't know about that. That is phenomenal. I think that's such a cool part of the history.
I love that part.
Yeah.
I mean, no one knows that, because when you look at the movies, you have the Hulk. Remember, the Hulk was smashing the ice in the end of the trailer and the credits, and then he's the one who found Captain America, and everybody was thinking, oh, the Hulk is the one that finds Captain America. Nah. We got to go back to throwback 70s to read the lore of how Captain America was found and brought back to the Avengers. And then after that, he became, a part of the Avengers because they loved him, even though he always fought them. And we didn't even talk about him being in the Illuminati and him leaving the Illuminati, because guess what? They wanted to send the Hulk into space, and he wasn't down with it, so he left the Illuminati. Listen, I could keep going with Namor.
And the Defenders, too. He was part of the Defenders, too.
And the Defenders.
With Doctor Strange and all of them. That's so crazy. There's the homie right here. That is the
you was
homie
ready for that one.
right there. That's the homie. That's how I like to remember. I used to look.
Like
yeah. This is how I like to be reminded of what Namor looks like. That's what I used to look like back in the day, with the 18-pack and the chiseled chin.
You seen his eyebrows?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get those
Ice Cube eyebrows.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try and get these next cosplay. I might try and get these ears situated, and then I don't know if I'm gonna walk around in the same underwear, but it'll be. I may have to come out with the Civil War suit that he wears.
He did have some tight green spandex on him.
Yeah.
What they said about his ears, they reach to the sun, reach to the sky.
Yep.
I like that part.
Yeah. So I picked an anti-hero. To me, that's how I like to picture him. But he's in the comic books, he's been depicted as a villain. And so none other than Wakanda's disruptor and kinfolk to the empire of Wakanda, Eric Killmonger. Now, Michael B. Jordan, he played him spectacularly in both movies, and many folks sympathize with the character. And in the movie, you could understand his issue with the nation, and King T'Challa, the Wakanda nation, and his vision about this equal balance and creating something, or even his thoughts around decolonizing the world to kind of show his power, which is really cool. So to frame and reframe history, I just love the fact that this dude is finally getting his just desserts. But in the comic books, he revolts against the powers that be, who claim to be the dominant civilizations. And Eric, which I'll give you in a minute what his real name was, Eric was the key on resetting the history and wanted to claim the throne. He wanted to be the king. He wanted to use Wakandan resources and flex, as my friend Tempos does fairly well when he shows not only his comic books, but his muscles and their dominance as the world premier, power. And so I thought that was really interesting. And I think it also speaks to this, the African-American experience, and the African experience and kind of the juxtaposition there. Now, it didn't work, and he went toe-to-toe with T'Challa, and the rest was history, as you all know. But many of us don't know the complicated history of Eric Killmonger in the comics. And so the movies, they sort of stick to his roots, but not really. And it's a little bit more involved than we know. Eric Killmonger, his real name, y'all, was N'Jadaka. And he first appeared in Marvel Comics Jungle Action number 6 in 1973. So for all of y'all that are trying to get it, as Miss Key says, if you want to get it now. If you don't then you're gonna miss out, right? Is that the saying?
No, that's not. But you're close.
I'm
I'll let
close,
you-
right?
let
I'm
you have
sorry.
that one.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's close, but no cigar. See, I've been in her shows over and over again. I should know this by heart.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So again, in Jakarta, Eric Killmonger was, first appeared in Marvel Comics Jungle #6. I'm about to go buy that tomorrow, and he was created by Don McGregor and Rich Buckler. So N'Jadaka was born in Wakanda, so he's a Wakandan, but his parents were murdered during an attack orchestrated by the Wakandan traitor. There was a traitor within the Golden Circle. Eventually, they sold secrets to villains like Ulysses Claw, which is a main villain in the movie, as you all know, and was able to kind of basically manipulate and utilize the vibranium. So N'Jadaka was then kidnapped, which is crazy. I didn't know this. He was kidnapped and taken by those folks who raided his country and his home, and the ones that killed his parents. And so they became to groom him. They groomed him as a mercenary and a killer because they found that as a child, he was like ridiculously intelligent. And so they really utilized his talents and just, his intelligence to really, really create this Killmonger, the new Killmonger that you see. So as a young child and adult, his surrogate father, M'Demwe, who was also responsible for killing N'Jadaka's parents, he literally was responsible for him. In a twisted fate, he has a father and son relationship with Killmonger in this way and kind of bringing him up. So he taught him, his newfound son, about the nationality and identity he held and the superiority of his people. So that was really interesting to me as I did some research, that there was still this nationalism, but then you also had this juxtaposition with Killmonger. This dude just killed his parents, as a young kid, and he's now basically a father figure to him. So with that hate and rage being infused in his everyday existence, you saw N'Jadaka become Killmonger, and eventually the bitterness and resentfulness largely towards M'Demwe actually shifted to N'Demwe, which was his surrogate father, Claw in the kingdom of Wakanda. He was really angry at the fact that they let that happen around the Golden Circle, which is right outside the Wakandan borders. And he was really mad at the world. And so you know what happens when Killmonger's mad, and you've seen all his little ticks, how many people he's taken out. But he decided to make a clean break from this, this oppressive, these folks who killed his parents, and he decided to go on his own. So he ended up killing his surrogate father, N'Demwe, and he severed ties with the group. And all of a sudden you saw him kind of just really learn his talent. So fast forward, he became an orphan and was in Harlem, New York. And he eventually spent most of his young adult years honing his skills and educating himself, and ultimately figuring out what his goals were to exact revenge. He was always talking about survival of the fittest. So during this time, he actually ended up gaining his PhD in engineering and neurosciences, which is why I was kind of upset that they didn't really show that in the movie. But he is highly intelligent. He got an MBA from MIT as well. And now he had the knowledge to move forward with his plans to basically take over. And actually, he learned from his captors. He was able to fuse it. And so that was the beauty of it. Now he was prepared. And for a time, he worked for the underboss, the Kingpin. I don't know if y'all knew that, but as part of that team that he was a part of, the Kingpin would do what he normally does, which is betray his people. And so there's a long storied history that you got to really read it. It's so crazy that the Shield became a part of it, and they wanted him to betray certain kingdoms and so on and so forth. And so I'll leave that up to you to follow that storyline. That's a long storyline. But I'll focus on his return to Wakanda because that's really where the juicy part comes from. And Eric, while he was in the United States, he saw an airing of King T'Challa talking about how Wakanda is going to be open. And upon his return to Wakanda, Killmonger pretended to be on the side of T'Challa and the Wakandan king in the kingdom. But it was all a ploy because he was trying to advance his revenge scheme. He always blamed them for his parents dying. So it's kind of similar to the movie. Killmonger's aim was to drop a newly weaponized WMD called Cuckoo on a Shield helicarrier coming in for the diplomatic treaties. And he wanted to frame the nations as aggressors to the world stage and forcing them to go to war with everyone else. So that was his ploy. But guess who got involved? He was trying to overthrow, obviously, T'Challa and his people. But our favorite new Black Panther, Shuri, ended up basically confronting him, and the crisis was averted, which was cool. But in the entanglement that she had, he jumped out of the plane. They were trying to basically, get him under arrest, and he jumped out of a plane into a lake. Long story short, Killmonger is hard to kill, but eventually he does die a couple of times, and in some weird way, he's got some the Mandarin involved. But throughout the whole runs of his character, he was always about basically getting revenge for everyone who ever did him wrong. But he also had a nationalist idea about colonizers and just basically making sure that that would not happen again. Real quick, Killmonger actually died, and his the Mandarin out of all the villains actually resurrected him, and he was up to his old tricks again. So he was, he went to go. Was helping out with old friends. Black Panther defeated him, and the Mandarin took his power back, leaving Killmonger a skeleton. Like, he literally disintegrated. But he was later resurrected by his followers later on. And in later issues, Killmonger was able to take power and defeat T'Challa, as in the movie. But when he was to ceremoniously take the heart-shaped herb, it reacted negatively because it was designed for royal blood. So he was not a royal. So when he took it, it actually put him, almost killed him. And so T'Challa actually saved his life, even though he probably shouldn't have. And he went into a coma. And then eventually he became king again after he got out of the coma. And T'Challa eventually took rule again. So there's this back and forth between him and T'Challa. Right. And Killmonger ends up being killed by Monica Rambeau, which all of you all know who she is. Right, y'all know who Monica Rambeau is. Photon now, but she used to be Captain Marvel. And little did we know that as his rage and anger consumed him, so did it consume Killmonger's long lost son, who was out there. And so the cycle continues. And so his son now is kind of basically taking on the mantle of being a Killmonger clone, which is really cool. So anyway, that's a little bit about Killmonger. I know I went on longer than our time, but he's such a crazy layered character, and I think y'all need to check him out. Mm-hmm. All right. No doubt. Yeah, so hopefully y'all learned something today, right? We are so excited to we'll be basically cutting up this episode, and so that way you can drive to wherever you're going to for a 25-minute bit, 30-minute bit, so that you can kind of enjoy the conversation. Most importantly, you should join our YouTube channel. Make sure that you connect with us there. That will be the full-on-fledged video of the podcast, so you won't miss a thing. So make sure that you subscribe, that you click, you share, you like. Give us once the audio is out, make sure you give us a 5. Give us a 5. Why not? We're pretty dope. And so we just want you to be a part of this community. If you're interested, please feel free to give us some comments on what other topics you would like to give. But wait till you hear the next episode. I'm excited about the next episode. Not sure if we're going to drop it, but we're going to let you simmer on this one because this was a pretty fun and dope episode to talk about Beyond Wakanda. And so we're going to end this episode. Want to say from Gen X, thank you for joining us. And
this is Miss Ebony Keys. Thank you for stopping by and come back and see us.
And this is your boy Tempos. Appreciate all y'all. Love y'all. Remember, read a comic. Let's get back to basics.
Peace out, y'all. We'll see you at the next episode at Back to Basics, a comic book podcast. Find us everywhere that you find podcasts very soon, and also our YouTube channel where we have a ton of stuff on there. So each of us are our own personalities, and then we also are a collective. So until next time, keep reading. Don't stop. Won't stop. Here we go. Thank y'all. Enjoy your week.